What do I think about the entire world? I think, Alex, that we're in a very dangerous situation in terms of privacy. The telephones that you have next to you and the telephones that each of us are carrying around with us contain applications from corporations, individuals, from the NSA, the CIA, from almost every agency. And if you look at what these applications are doing, an overwhelming majority of them are turning on your microphone, turning on the camera, accessing your emails, accessing your SMS messages, and even making phone calls on your behalf without your knowledge. We're in a very dangerous situation because we have accepted a technology that we do not understand yet. We don't understand its weaknesses. We don't understand its limitations. The Bank of America, for example, if you use the Bank of America online banking app, you will find that you have given it permission to turn on your camera and take videos and still pictures anytime that it wants. Why? Well, perhaps it's because if you empty your bank account online and then say, I didn't do it, they can say, well, you know, we have photos of you.
But think about how Big Brother that is. We've known they've been doing that for decades, using the webcams, but they would deny it. Now it's just ubiquitous. They're just doing it.
Right, and the webcams is one thing because you don't sleep with your computer. You don't carry it with you all the time. We carry our phones with us, our smartphones. And there's an overwhelming percentage of these apps that are spying on you, and big time. So we've written an application, or I've written an application called Cognizant, which basically goes through and tells you what all of your apps are doing and gives you the choice of getting rid of them or not.
That is awesome. How do folks get that app?
It's coming out in 5 days. It's free. We're not charging anything for it. It does not have any adware, and it doesn't expire after a period of time.
Man, that's awesome, and it just tells you what's going on.
It tells you what's going on, and you're going to be shocked, absolutely shocked. And our first version runs on Android. We'll be moving into other platforms later. Android is the worst in terms of app permissions. So, you know, people who have used it, John used it, and he was kind of shocked at, whoa, my apps are doing this, and then it gives you the option to get rid of them. But this is a serious problem because it's not just the U.S. government. We do know that NASA is putting out apps and other covert agencies, but it's corporations and individuals that are using our innocence, basically, in accepting these permissions to do anything that they want. Bank of America, what is Bank of America? It is a collection of its employees. Any employee with access to their data center can spend their lunch hour listening to what you're doing. And no matter where you are.
And it's come out that they harass girlfriends, ex-wives, husbands, that they are indeed using it to play God.
Yes, absolutely. And we're letting them. We're letting them through our ignorance and our innocence. And when I say ignorance, we're unaware of what has happened. Can we say no? Here's the issue. We depend on these phones. We depend on the power. We depend on the ability to communicate and to contact our families and to voice chat and video chat. So what we need is we need legislation. We need some serious, hard looking at what's actually happening and say, listen, you know, we have to stop this. We cannot have a total loss of privacy that is occurring. You have no concept. If you get this app and you run it on your Android system, you will be shocked. Everybody who has run it in testing has been shocked.
It's called Decentral.
Decentral. The Cognizant app is going to be the kernel of that. It will morph into Decentral slowly. So we are still on target. We are still working on privacy.
Well, you're the guy that launched the whole antivirus revolution. And so, I mean, it's pretty exciting to have you doing this.
I did. They, of course, changed my name now, or will be changing it soon. The Intel is changing it to just Intel Security. Not sure that's a wise move on their part, but I think my wild and crazy personality makes them nervous. So
they're going to change the name of the company you started, McAfee.
Not the company, but they're changing the name of the product.
Yeah, they're changing it to...
I think it's just called Intel Security.
And I want to shift gears. We'll get into some other subjects later, into now what really happened in Belize versus all these big Warner Brothers and Paramount, and they're all making movies about John McAfee. And I don't really see you being interviewed by those folks. I guess they've got a story they want to put out. But now you can give us the rest of the story.
Do you want to take it from here and explain, you know, how you fell into this?
Yeah, you know, absolutely. That's when I came into the story at a point in time where I started to interview John about his application, about some of the things that were going on, about cybersecurity, and that's what drew me into the story because I was there at that point in time at which it was interesting. John was actually putting out ads for people to be bodyguards, and what he was trying to do was smoke out the cartel, and it just got deeper from there, right? So the cartel and the people that McAfee has that were after him and put an attempt on his life, as John described earlier, in Portland. He was trying to discover, who these guys were. They're organized, but they're not that smart. So he would put out ads. It was interesting. He actually had an interview with one of these gentlemen in a cafe, and had lunch with them. The guy never asked for the actual job, right? So a bunch of interesting stories as far as his life, along the way, and some of these things that happened as this story unfolded. But it really all goes back to those days in Belize when he was out there, and he encountered this situation with the government down there, and the selling of passports, and recorded all this information that they're after. And that's really why they're after John in the first place, is that he's got this information. He's collected this information, and we have a lot of this stuff that will be coming out in this report that is very publicly discoverable information that we've organized, and it'll be put into this thing, and that'll be forthcoming on SiliconANGLE.
The problem is when they raided my property on March the 2nd, this was the result of my refusing to pay a bribe to the local politician. And then the politician came back, with the next week saying, "Oh, this is what a terrible thing to happen. I am so sorry. They shot your dog. They destroyed your property. This is so terrible. Have you reconsidered your donation?" Yeah, I basically threw him off my property and went to the international press. I also donated a whole bunch of computers to the Belizean government that had keystroke locking software and software that I had put on there.
Classic Trojan horse.
Classic Trojan horse. I was hoping just to find out hard evidence that they had planned this whole thing just to force me to pay the money. What I found out was far worse. I found out that they were selling passports. I found out that almost all of the government ministers were involved in some kind of nefarious and illegal activities. And it just went from bad to worse. They discovered what I was doing in, late September of that year, and began a serious process of intimidation. And I've given John all of this evidence. John has talked to witnesses in Belize, the people who were with me, and has verified everything that I've said. Then when Greg Fall was murdered in November, which I firmly believe now was an act of the government, they came after me for real, but not just at night, but during the day. For an entire month before the Greg Fall murder, they were trying to collect me at night. I was finding out about it because I was listening to them. I was watching them through their computers. And they never could catch me because when they would show up, I'd be somewhere else.
And I remember in all the media stuff, didn't you record them and you've released some of that before?
I released a little bit.
Just to prove it.
Here's what I'm trying to do, Alex. I'm trying to, number one, stay alive. The only thing that I have to bargain with is those recordings. The thing that I am attempting to do is to make the public aware that this is actually happening.
John McAfee and John Casaretto are in studio. He's an investigative journalist. You know who McAfee is. And they are breaking down what basically really happened in Belize and how it ties into things here. But how does that tie into the ricin poison and the Iranians? Because you did say that 6 months before, it ended up coming out separate from you in the news there.
Right.
And it has come out you really did have all these, however many computers it was, that you'd handed out to all the police, the federal police there. How many computers was it total? And where's the whole ricin situation going?
It was a little over 80 computers total. The ricin situation, I don't want to discuss it at the current moment for security reasons, and I can discuss everything else, the passports, because really it all folds in. There's a huge operation in Belize, and it's getting unraveled as we speak. The Minister of Immigration, a guy named Penner, was just removed from office for selling over 150 passports, one of which was to a Korean who was in prison at the time and had never been to Belize. Now, Penner, when he was under oath, said that, yes, I think you read these same reports from the Belizean News, said that, yeah, I had a meeting with the gentleman on this date. And, he explained everything that was happening. Well, on that date, he was in prison in Korea. So this is how bad it gets. And Penner has been prosecuted. He hasn't been investigated. They're just letting it all slide.
You did do black project stuff for the government previous to
yes.
McAfee.
I did. I worked for Lockheed on a black program.
But what's the secret? Because this does sound spy-esque, CIA, defense intelligence, or corporate stuff down in Belize. I mean, were they using you as a double agent? Is there a whole nother story to this we don't know about?
Trust me, if I were a double agent, would I be on your program? I mean, I would walk out the door and it would be the U.S. government that would whack me.
But I mean, there's also good elements of the government. In my experience, I don't think
question. There's no ultimate bad and ultimate good anywhere. There's a mixture, of course. But no, believe me, I am not affiliated. I'm not a part of any U.S. government covert operation.
No, what I'm saying, you're evading them, all the things you did, the Trojan horse computers, everything. I mean, that's real James Bond stuff.
You have to be completely free. You've got to be, a libertarian, so to speak.
So it's the compartmentalization ruining U.S. intelligence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for example, I'm one man. I'm on my own. And by hiring, a few out-of-work, young men and women, I was able to infiltrate every branch of the Belizean government. Admittedly, Belize is
the whole
not
country.
Well, former spy masters like Dr. Steve Pachinik, they've told me the system is scared of lone men.
Yes, because we are unpredictable. I have given this man internal documents. The biggest thing that I discovered, and the biggest thing they're trying to cover up, is the selling of passports and the bringing of questionable people into America through a very complex route. You can let's say I'm Iranian or from Pakistan, and I want a new identity. I can come to Belize and pay anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. I get a new identity, usually from someone who's died. My name is Muhammad Allah, and suddenly my new name is George Smith, and I have a passport proving I am George Smith. With that passport, I am free to move throughout all of Central America. All of Central America, unimpeded.
So they're creating fake identities on an international scale out of Belize, and that's come out.
Yes.
And it's a major rat line.
Absolutely. And so to get into America, if I want to do it, unbeknownst to America, I wander up to the southern border and get a mule to bring me across. And the cartels help with that. That's public knowledge. I mean, you've seen many reports in Belize where this is actually happening. The Belizeans know, but nobody else in the world is reading the reports. No one else even cares, it seems.
Did you see any evidence that the U.S. or any other major government has its own people down there jacking into their database to know who these people are, or they don't even care?
Well, certainly they know who they are. The Treasury Department keeps, for example, an organization chart of like the Sinaloa cartel, all the cartels, the Medellins, and in that organization.
But sure, I mean the people they're bringing across. Because we had the head Iranian general say last month, we have sleeper cells in America.
Yes. And
we will attack you in asymmetrical warfare.
Yes, absolutely. And where do you think these sleeper cells are coming from? They don't fly in.
But you said a year ago on my show, you said Iranian sleeper cells are coming through with ricin, and now you don't want to talk about it.
Well, forget the ricin. They are coming through, and they have more than just ricin, Alex. There's all kinds of things that they are bringing with them. I can't talk about the ricin right now. I'm very sorry that I can't. I am sort of fighting for my life. I
understand. Yeah.
I am dancing a very delicate dance.
You've already got cartels after you. You don't want the Iranians after you.
I don't want the Iranians after me, sir. Okay, it's bad enough as it is. So now, but forget that part. We still have the importing into America of foreigners with questionable motives on a mass scale. We have this one man selling 150 passports in a very brief period of time. We have group, it's like, okay, if you come to us with 50 people, we'll give you a group discount. I mean, it's astonishing. And these 150 were just the 150 that were discovered. You know that it's much more than this. So this is a serious problem. No one's talking about it. It's public knowledge everywhere else in the world. Public knowledge. But here in the States, it's like, well, let's not talk about this.
John Casaretto, investigative journalist. You've been burrowing into this for a long time. I looked you up, done a lot of great reports in the past. Much of what he said has been already verified. But what else have you verified in his story? What do you think about it?
Well, I think the big thing here is, to me, there's been, these passports is the big issue here is that, we're hoping by doing this report that we can look at this evidence and start to bring this into the open. So perhaps people will further report this, will further look into this and start to ask questions. Why isn't anybody talking about this thing? Why isn't anybody talking about, the way these agencies are operating and pretty much neglecting, the security of this country at the border? And these guys are, it's very similar to the app. You have a passport, you can pretty much walk over the border and come into the country, and do whatever it is that you do in this country. It's the same thing with the Cognizant and the app. If you allow it to happen, then it's wide open. We're
being told give all our rights up because terrorists are everywhere, and they leave the doors basically wide open.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to report it because it's hurtful. It's hurtful to the image that we're strong and we're secure. And, I think that people should start talking about this thing, particularly in this case where there's evidence that shows there's a country, not that far away from here that's selling passports, that, there's been incidents of Chinese nationals, of people of Middle Eastern descent showing up and showing up, being apprehended. And it turns out that their passports are fake. And they're Belizean.
And yet that is all over Central America. But here in the States, we have no reports of that. You have to actually go in and dig into the old copies of Mexican and Belizean newspapers to find instances of Hezbollah that were actually arrested in Mexico with Belizean passports, with European names, Mike Smith and Terry Jones. It's absurd. And yet here in America, do you read about it? Is it in the New York Times? Is it in the Wall Street Journal? Is it in the local paper here in Austin?
Continuing with your case, say if you had 5 minutes, John, and you were trying to explain to, say, mainstream dinosaur media the history of John McAfee, who he is he for real, what's happened to him, what would you say?
Well, I think the world will have to decide whether I'm for real. And it's why I allowed John to come and spend 3 days pouring through a mountain of government internal memos for release and conversations to find, so that he could find it for himself without me having to explain it to him.
I was telling a story about how I met him. I was with my friend, good friend Eddie Mize, a great artist out of Denver. And so we went down there. He's also an InfoSec guy. We started talking about security. And we make our way outside, and it was everything that we expected. I talked to John McAfee before on the phone, and it was a great conversation. And so we go outside and we start to talk, and he goes, "Hey, I've got some recordings I want to play for you." So we sit in my friend Eddie's car, and he starts to play these audio recordings, and it was an investigator who was telling John on the phone, "I've uncovered some information that says the attempt on your life that happened in Portland was a $2 million contract that was put forward. It was put into place through the cartel, through the Sinaloa cartel. And then there was a second contract when that attempt was not successful." John's interlacing this with the introduction of the story at this time that all this stuff happened to him and Janice. There was a second contract for $650,000, and John stops it and he goes, "I find that insulting that my life is only worth $650,000.
Really, $2 million. I mean, I know some of the cartels just to be grandiose have big contracts, but $600,000 is a lot.
How much of it is true? I start to look into it. There were names that were given out in those recordings, and that's when I first started approaching John. Hey, John, I looked at this, and I looked at these names. Every time somebody ever talks about John, it's always these ridiculous stories about for some of these things to be true, you would have to think that one day I'm going to build a company, and my ambition is to have this company, sell it for $100 million, and then I'm going to go to the third world and set up a meth lab. And it's pretty preposterous to think that this would be true, but people are accepting this. And articles that come out, this is what they say,
No, he was smart down there, openly setting up a supplement lab, which is anybody that's smart, that's what it's all about.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Setting up a meth lab in Central America, by the way, is like putting a gun to your head and pulling the trigger. The cartels, that's their business. A gringo doesn't go down there and start a meth lab.
So,
that's insane.
The bottom line is John's always gotten kind of this rap, like it's always this air of, wanted for murder, wanted for murder. Well, he's never been officially, nobody's ever said he's wanted for murder. They want to ask him questions. Why? Because they want to bring him back down there. They want him back down there so they can do what they're going to do. And as John reports, as John states, they want him gone.
Now, we've got John McAfee here with us, and we've also got investigative journalist. Plug your website. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want John to go back and have the floor here. and talk about the attempted hits on he and his wife.
Yeah, I'm the security editor for SiliconANGLE, and our publication is all about technology, and I cover security.
And bottom line, you found him to be credible and believe his story.
Absolutely.
And have verified a lot of it.
There comes a certain point, Alex, where, you've got to go with your gut. You got to go.
Well, plus, you've been privy to a lot of stuff that hadn't been released.
Absolutely. There's a lot more that will be coming out about this in terms of...
It's not just your gut. You verified a lot of it.
Absolutely. Well, that's how I got into it, of course, yes. But I've heard so many things. I mean, I heard a phone call just before we walked in here that, he played another recording for me that was really interesting. And, there's hours of recordings. I spent 3 days with Mr. McAfee at his location up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, remote, secure. And we went through tons and tons of documents, shell companies, 300 some companies, guys switching seats, like, same three guys moving around all these different companies. And, all through this whole network that is, requesting visas, that has companies out in Belize that are connected to this attempt on Mr. McAfee's life, as he reports.
Now, what can you do, John? I mean, do you release it all so they have no reason to kill you? Or then do they want a revenge killing because of it? Or do you say, look, I've already tried to report this. The government doesn't care. I'm dropping it. I've destroyed it all. You'll never hear from me again.
They're not going to believe that last statement, that you'll never hear from me again. And they will get back at me just for revenge. Here's my strategy. I am trying to dance on a tightrope. I think the best thing that I can do is to release just enough information to make the public and the government aware of what's happening. Number two, there are one or two people who really do need to be arrested, all right? I intend fully to release everything about those individuals. Others, perhaps the more powerful people than the government, I have retained a lawyer who is going to already has taken charge of the evidence, all of the evidence, all of 17,000 hours of recordings and documents and what have you, and have given the same evidence to a number of other people. The lawyer is in the process of writing a letter to the Belizean government saying, if I do not hear from Mr. McAfee by 2 p.m. every day with a password, he has instructed me to release this full documentation to the press, which implicates every single person within the Belizean government. Now, I believe that they have enough common sense that they will let the few people that really need to be arrested, the ones that, I think did the most crimes against me, to let that happen, and I will just keep quiet for the rest of my life. And as long as nothing happens to me, nothing will happen to them. But believe me, the information that I have will bring down the entire Belizean government. They know this, and this is why they are so desperate to silence me.
You had just told me about one of the attempts. I guess you were here like a week after it happened.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Now, I have full evidence on those things, which I've given to John. What happened was, first of all, the first clue, and it should have occurred to me at that time, was there was a report of my death, okay? John McAfee died of a drug overdose. And I got a call at 8 o'clock in the morning from a friend, and they were in tears. And I go, what? And it just went all over the net. It was weird. I put out a tweet saying not true. In fact, I woke up feeling fine, or I went to bed feeling fine.
Rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated?
Greatly exaggerated. Within 12 hours, my security guards get arrested mysteriously. 12 hours later, at 2:15 in the morning on the 12th of September, and I was up because I was anticipating. I have contacts still within the government. I was anticipating. I didn't know the exact date, but I knew it was coming soon. I was up and watching at 2:15. 2 police motorcycles. Now, this is at night where police do not really use their motorcycles after dark. 2 police motorcycles followed by a sedan full of plainclothes people, followed by a garbage truck, the compressing variety.
They were going to put you in that.
Maybe. I have no clue. But they pulled up right in front of my condo, and there is no back exit. There is only one exit, and that is through the front. I ran, and I grabbed my wife. We ran downstairs to the garage. I wanted to hide in the trash bins, the big things, thinking maybe we'd be safe. My wife refused. So we climbed. We have in the condo was a car stacking elevator where you drive your car in, it puts it on the second floor, and then you drive others in, up and down. We climbed up on the second floor, hid under a car, both of us together, for 5 hours. We were not under there for a minute before we heard the running up and down the stairs and excited voices, and then they came into the garage, but very stealthily. They looked into the garbage room. You know, I'm rumored to be armed and dangerous, and I think they didn't want to just open the thing. They were talking. We could hear them talking. And they were there for about an hour before the garage truck came in. The garage, the garbage truck came into the garage. They rolled the bins, they lifted up, dumped it, compressed it, both bins, and drove off. We waited 2 hours till after everybody had gone. We ran and got our things, and we left, and we haven't been back.
Why not lay in wait with a assault rifle? And might have been cops, but they're coming to kill you.
I mean, it may have been real cops, okay?
That's what you told me right after it happened. You said, might have been cops with a warrant. How did you know?
Yeah, I didn't. But cops with a warrant do
Say,
not,
warrant!
Yeah, cops with a warrant do not try to compress you in a garbage truck. And you don't show up at 2:15 in the morning.
And it wasn't garbage day either.
And it was not garbage day.
They didn't get everybody else's garbage. You know?
I think the reason that they put out a report that I was dead is so that everybody's going, oh my God, McAfee died. And then McAfee says, no, that's not true. So if McAfee does disappear the next day, no big deal. They're not going to pay much attention.
No, that's how they do it. It just creates confusion.
It creates confusion, and therefore people don't pay much mind to it. Because really, if I were just to disappear out of the clear blue sky, people are going to talk. But if the day before there was a big article saying I had died and of a drug overdose.
You're really smart. I mean, obviously you're a smart guy. I've been told by high-level Army officers that when I see these stories that I've been killed or disappeared, that's when I've got to be careful because they'll do that right before they disappear me.
You've actually heard that?
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
Oh, and I've had family that worked in black ops.
I just
and in the muscle end of things, and they told me that.
No one told me. I just figured it out. Really?
Well,
no, there's some verification.
Oh no, that's definitely true.
I can review as much as you can believe me.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think a big thing is how did this all come together? And one of the interesting coincidences that John has reported, and you can check this out. The country of Belize, for the first time in that country's history, traveled abroad to what city? Portland, where John McAfee is living.
To play soccer.
To play soccer in a soccer game. And the team is like, you know, part-time carpenters.
Yeah, that's not even a real team.
Yeah.
They lost to the U.S. 6-0. They had no chance at all.
I think it was 6-1.
And this is the first time. Now, why would they come to Portland, Oregon, where I'm living? Get real. And this was 2 months before the hit, or the attempted hit.
Right.
Classic double down as an investigation, but call it a soccer game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Find out where he lives.
Now, that's
it's
hard, but people go, no, they didn't go to Portland. Check it on the internet.
So
they did.
ESPN.
Again, that is speculation. Undoubtedly, though, them coming to these people that came to your place, that is amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
And now you're in an armored redoubt.
I am in a location where I can guarantee you no one is going to get close to me. So, and I am angry. I've stopped being afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. I am pissed off. I am seriously.
Yeah, last time you were here, you had a pretty serious guy with you going around with you everywhere.
Yeah, well, I've got a whole bunch of serious people around me now, and they are serious people, and I'm serious myself. I swear, I am pissed off. Just come for me.
But John, what brought you to South by Southwest?
I didn't come to South by Southwest. I came to see you, Alex.
Well, I'm flattered.
We had I talked to John about what our strategy would be. He's going to write the first 2 chapters of maybe a 20,000-word report, and then we needed to go and talk to somebody live. And I said, Alex Jones. He said, why Alex Jones? I said, number one, he's a friend, and number two, he has an extraordinarily loyal listener base. And what we need are people that will believe us, and we'll get this story out. This is a message to all of my friends out there that I mentioned in the earlier part of this message, especially to John Saldivar. I am seriously offended that you've been sending these little old ladies. I expect some real men next time, so come get some.